some of laid-off Utusan staff would be rehired. Petrol price increase at minimum level once floated. Thanks for joining me, Renee Fong, on the evening edition of News on 2. Some of the laid-off Utusan Melayu Berhad Malaysia, Berhad, staff would be re-employed under the new management Aurora Mulia Sdn Berhad. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said Utusan will be managed by a new company, adding some of them will be taken back to work with the new Utusan. He said this when asked on the nation's oldest Malay daily, Utusan Malaysia, that ceased publication since yesterday, with its employees told to pack up and leave within a short notice. Utusan Executive Chairman Dato' Abdul Aziz Sheikh Fadzir yesterday issued a memorandum saying the company would cease operations on 9th October, while the last day of service for workers is 31st October. The Utusan Board of Directors had approved the appointment of UHY Advisory KL Sdn Berhad as interim liquidator on 7 October because the company was no longer solvent to continue with its business. The curtain fell on Utusan, which was established 80 years ago after Aurora Mulia Sdn Berhad, a company linked to business tycoon Syed Mokhtar Al-Bukhari, acquired 70% of the company's wholly owned subsidiary Dilof Sdn Berhad. The Prime Minister said a request for the government to lower the tax rates but increase subsidies at the same time is deemed not possible. According to Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, there must be a balance between taxes and subsidies in order for the government to generate income and give out subsidies.
I read in the papers what the people want is lower taxes and increase subsidy. That is contrary. You can't have lower taxes and then increase in subsidy. There must be a balance between the two. We try to lower the taxes, but the government must have money. If you are going to subsidize, you must have money. If you lower too much, you will have no money and you cannot subsidize.
He said this when asked on what can be expected in Budget 2020, which will be tabled by Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng in Parliament tomorrow. The Prime Minister explained that the government is trying to tax the rich more, which is the principle behind Malaysia's tax system, while subsidies would only be given to the deserving.
Subsidies now will be given not just outright to everybody. It must be given to deserving groups of people. Even among the B40, there are people who will not need any subsidy. We are going into details on who should receive subsidy from the government.
The government will establish the National Council of Climate Change Action to address matters concerning this pressing issue. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said the move will be a fulfillment of a promise made in the Pakatan Harapan PH election manifesto. At the opening of 2019 International Green Tech and Eco Products Exhibition Conference Malaysia iGEM in Kuala Lumpur, the Prime Minister also announced the rebranding of the Malaysian Green Technology Corporation to Malaysian Green Technology and Climate Change Centre, MGTCCC, under which the new National Council of Climate Change Action will be set up.
Whenever you're comfortable, Yang Berhormat is the right.
This move is consistent with the PH government's commitment to keep the civil service lean and to reduce expenditure by optimizing delivery.
The rebranding exercise was in commemoration of the 10th anniversary of the corporation, an agency created to catalyze the green technology uptake in the country under the Ministry of Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change, MESTEC. The Premier also underscored the importance of gearing the country to be climate change resilient and ready to face the impact of climate change, such as rising sea levels, disruption to food chain, healthcare and others. He further said that his PH government will seek to institutionalize the green agenda. Head of the Counter-Terrorism Division E8 of the Special Branch, Bukit Aman, Dato' Ayub Khan Maidin Pichai said 2 state assemblymen have been detained on suspicion of supporting a terrorist group. He, however, did not elaborate. And meanwhile, Malacca Chief Minister Adli Zahari confirms that one of the Malacca State Legislative Assemblymen, who is also an EXCO, was arrested by the police this morning for alleged connections with the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam LTTE. Adli, however, refused to elaborate further on the matter and left it to the police to investigate.
Kita di peringkat kerajaan negeri, yang paling penting adalah kita secara dasarnya kita serah kepada pihak berkuasa sama ada untuk mendapatkan maklumat lanjut daripada tangkapan itu. Kita pun akan berusaha dengan pihak berkuasa untuk mendapatkan maklumat dan saya yakin bahawa Yang Berhormat kita sentiasa memberikan kerjasama.
He said this to the press after chairing the State EXCO meeting in Ayakuruh, Malacca. He also expressed his confidence that the EXCO will give full cooperation to the police. A former One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB Chief Executive Officer CEO told the High Court today that he was not surprised when the Terengganu Palace queried about the character of fugitive businessman Low Tech Joe or Joe Low in matters of the Terengganu Investment Authority TIA, later renamed 1MDB. Datuk Shahrul Azral Ibrahim Halmi 49 said he was not surprised when the palace raised the matter at a meeting held on 30th of June 2009 because Joe Low had already informed him to expect this. The 9th prosecution witness was being cross-examined by Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah, the defence counsel for Datuk Sri Najib, on the 20th day of the former Premier's trial involving 1MDB funds. During previous proceedings, the court heard that there were concerns raised in 2009 that Joe Low had been misinterpreting himself as an advisor to the then the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Mizan Zainal Abidin. Datuk Sri Najib, 66, faces 4 charges of using his position to obtain bribes totaling 2.3 billion ringgit from 1MDB funds and 21 charges of money laundering involving the same amount. The trial before High Court Judge Colin Lawrence Sequeira continues Monday. A 5-year-old girl was found dead after she was believed to have fallen into a sewage hole at Batu 5 Gambang Kuantan Road last night. The victim, Noor Arisha Abdullah, was found by the locals near the area before informing local authority. The victim was playing near the area before went missing yesterday evening. The victim's mother asked for the public's help to locate her daughter via Facebook. Several hours later, the body of the victim was found in a sewage hole about 500 meters from her house. Pahang Fire and Rescue Public Liaison Officer Anwar Hassan said they received a distress call at about 9 p.m. before dispatching a team to conduct rescue operation. The victim's body was brought to the Tengku Ampuan Afzan Hospital for further action. In other news, an increase in eye problems among children could be related to prolonged exposure to smart devices. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail said parents should restrict their children's use of these devices to no more than 2 hours a day to minimize the risk of eye strain and sleep disruptions.
Peningkatan risiko degenerasi makula kerana terdedah lama kepada cahaya biru daripada skrin gadget. Makula ni adalah tempatnya retina kita yang paling sensitif. Jadi kalau macula is out, then your color vision semua is out. So jadi ini adalah salah satu daripada bahaya kalau banyak sangat skrin, ya, terutama untuk kanak-kanak. Ya. So jadi kita kena jaga. Jadi ibu bapa peka dan menghadkan masa untuk anak dia untuk bermain gadget.
The Deputy Premier noted that prolonged use of gadgets causes dry eyes, blurriness and eventually causes myopia, medical term for short-sightedness. Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah, who is also the Women, Family and Community Development Minister, said Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia UKM and the Ministry of Health will conduct research on increased myopia among Malaysian children next year. She said this after launching the World Sight Day event at Putrajaya. Mental illness is expected to be the most dangerous health problem after heart-related diseases in Malaysia by the year 2020. Even more worrying, children are among the group with highest risk of having mental illness. Between May 2015 and September 2019, statistics from Talian Kasih 15999 recorded 149 out of 264 calls made by children who wished to talk with someone. Deputy Women, Family and Community Development Hannah Yeoh said loneliness is one of the contributing factors of mental illness. As such, she urged parents to spend more time with their children, especially those under the age of 12.
Nasihat saya kepada ahli keluarga, luangkan masa bersama anak untuk berbual. Jangan kita rasa mereka kanak-kanak, mereka tak faham ataupun tak ada apa-apa serius. Kadang-kadang tak faham, tak payah kongsilah, tak payah tanya bagaimana hari ini dekat sekolah, apa yang telah berlaku. Itu perkongsian itu kena berlaku setiap hari.
She also said that all parties should play their roles to change the negative perspective towards mental illness and help the people suffering with mental illness by caring about them. She was speaking during the launch of 2019 World Mental Health Day at Puchong Health Clinic. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah today urged the people to abide by the principles of the Rukun Negara to help instill the spirit of patriotism in the community. Al-Sultan Abdullah stressed that the 5 principles of the Rukun Negara should be used as a guidance based on local culture and teachings. His Majesty said it emphasized good behavior and morality as well as reminded the people to always be grateful to Allah.
Ianya juga menuntut untuk sentiasa berlaku adil dalam mendaulatkan undang-undang dan lebih penting lagi, rukun negara memertabatkan kedudukan institusi diraja, negara dan perlembagaan. Hakikatnya, raja adalah merupakan raja kepada semua kaum, tanpa mengira agama, bangsa, status sosial dan pegangan politik.
His Majesty said this at the Wacana Diraja Islam Agama Rahmah Raja Berperlembagaan dan Patriotisme at Institute of Islamic Understanding Malaysia IKIM in Kuala Lumpur. Also present was the Raja Pemaisuri Agong Tunku Haja Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria. Meanwhile, Al-Sultan Abdullah said that the role of the king as a mechanism to unite and inspire the spirit of patriotism was unique and always relevant to the demographic diversity of the country. His Majesty also invited all Malaysians to appreciate the plural society of the country, adding they should not play one group against the other on issues that could lead to disunity and hostility. Khazanah's divestment proceeds not to pay government debts. Welcome back. The government has given its assurance that the gradual increase of the RON95 price beginning next year once the price is floated will be at the minimum level. Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Minister KPD NHEP Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said this will ensure that the people are not burdened with the increase.
Tekankan adalah pertama, ianya gradual income. Itu prinsip yang kita sepakati bagi keseluruhan jamaah menteri, bahawa sebab ketika harga diapungkan nanti, kalau kita benarkan lonjakan sehingga RM2.50, RM2.45, impak ekonominya sukar diperbetulkan. Jadi gradual itu, apakah 1 sen, 2 sen, 3 sen, sangat bergantung kepada momen ketika Januari itu memberikan harga minyak mentah dunia. Tapi prinsip itu setelah kita menjangkakan 50 ke 60 US dollar per barrel, kita sudah boleh membuat agakan atau ramalan.
Thus, explaining further, he said those who are not eligible to receive the subsidy could still enjoy a reasonable petrol price. Datuk Sri Saifuddin was replying to Rembau MP Khairi Jamaluddin in Dewan Rakyat. Proceeds from the disposal of Khazanah Nasional Berhad's shares, assets and interests fully belong to the Sovereign Wealth Fund and will never be used to pay government debts. Economic Affairs Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin Ali said Khazanah would usually use the divestment proceeds to undertake new investments as well as pay its debts that are almost due.
Soalan saya nombor 2.
He added the only payments that the government received from Khazanah were in the form of annual dividend and taxes. Speaking in Dewan Rakyat, Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin said the divestment exercise was not out of the ordinary for any local or international strategic investment firm.
Sejak Mei 2018 hingga Jun 2019, Khazanah telah melaksanakan pelupusan berjumlah kira-kira 18.8 bilion ringgit, iaitu 3.2 bilion ringgit daripada Mei hingga Disember 2018 dan 15.6 bilion ringgit antara Januari hingga Jun 2019.
Subsequently, he said Khazanah managed to reduce its debt by 8 billion to 47 billion ringgit, and the value was expected to continue to decline to 30 to 40 billion ringgit over the medium term.
Soalan tambahan yang kedua.
On another note, Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin said the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030 SPV 2030 was aimed at increasing the gross domestic product GDP contribution from Sabah and Sarawak. He added that based on the GDP per capita, the development gap between the central regions of Peninsular Malaysia and Sabah is 2.6% and 1.3% in Sarawak.
Sasaran ini bertujuan meningkatkan sumbangan peratusan KDNK Sabah dan Sarawak kepada KDNK Malaysia, di mana buat masa ini Sabah menyumbang 6.2% dan Sarawak menyumbang 9.7% berbanding wilayah tengah semenanjung Malaysia sebanyak 40%. Antara langkah penting yang akan diambil adalah dengan mengadakan pemetaan kawasan titik panas tumpuan ekonomi atau dengan izin economic hotspots yang berpotensi untuk dibangunkan. Ini bagi memastikan pembangunan ekonomi tidak berpusat di wilayah tertentu sahaja. Sebaliknya, ianya melibatkan pengagihan pembangunan kepada Sabah dan Sarawak berasaskan kepada kekuatan dan keunikan kedua-dua negeri ini.
Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin said the government targets to narrow the gap because currently Sabah and Sarawak contribute 6.2% and 9.7% respectively to the GDP compared to the central regions of Peninsular Malaysia, namely at 40%. As such, he added the government through SPV 2030 would carry out economic hotspot mapping to ensure equitable distribution of development to all states in Malaysia. An online survey conducted in conjunction with Budget 2020 and involving more than 7,000 respondents from among Malaysians revealed that they want initiatives to lessen the burden of their cost of living, more opportunities to enhance the quality of life, and assistance when faced with tragedies. The survey covered various backgrounds, ages and locations as part of efforts by the Finance Ministry MOF to involve the public in obtaining feedback and input for the Budget 2020. Elaborating further in a statement release, MOF said, as for the youth, the respondents urged the government to facilitate TVET job opportunities, provide incentives for trainees and apprentices to gain job experience, as well improve skills development programs and human capital. The MOF also undertook 12 focused consultation groups at various locations throughout the country with its Minister Lim Guan Eng, who will table the Budget 2020 in Parliament tomorrow. It will be the second time that he is tabling the annual budget. A majority of the respondents in the online survey also chose to urge the government to have more initiatives to support the less fortunate, ensure balanced development for all states, and provide equal opportunities for all and irrespective of race and religious beliefs to achieve the Shared Prosperity Vision SPV 2030. Budget 2019 needed 259.8 billion ringgit for operational expenditure and 54.7 billion ringgit as development expenditure. Budget 2020 is also the second budget for the Pakatan Harapan government. Civil servants are reminded to be ready to face changes in various sectors of new technology, including Internet of Things, IoT, big data analysis, simulation and system integration. Chief Secretary to the Government, Tan Sri Dr. Ismail Bakar, said this is especially so as new technology in the digital world will soon totally replace the conventional delivery process, which is currently being used by most government agencies. Tan Sri Dr. Ismail said the need to adapt to new technological changes is imperative among civil servants to ensure they are not left behind and also to ensure the government's delivery system is improved.
Sebagai contohnya pasport kita, kad pengenalan kita dan juga sistem e-tanah kita. Sekarang kita tak perlu lagi menunggu lama memegang menyimpan dokumen-dokumen yang complicated. Sekarang semua dah ada dalam sistem online yang boleh memudahkan lagi sama ada pihak pengguna ataupun pihak kerajaan untuk menyimpan dokumen-dokumen.
The Chief Secretary said this after officiating the 2019 Technology Safety Conference in Putrajaya today. The Johor State Government will allocate an additional of 1.5 million ringgit for Quran and Fardu Ain Kafah teachers in the state. It involved additional allowance of 512 ringgit, which begins next year. The State Education, Human Resources, Science and Technology Committee Chairman Amidul Huda Hassan said the state government also was working on protection scheme under the Social Security Organisation SOCSO for the Kafah teachers, adding their welfare were important in ensuring effective religious teaching.
Pandang serius tentang pendidikan agama. Yang kedua, kita memberikan kata orang peluang kepada guru-guru kafah tadi dapat kata orang tambahan pendapatan dan masa mengajar pun mereka boleh tumpukan supaya pendidikan agama di sekolah agama Johor tu dapat betul-betul berkesan, dapat memenuhi kehendak permintaan ibu bapa dan juga sampai kepada matlamat yang kita naklah.
Currently, Kafah's teacher receives an allowance of 900 ringgit from the Department of Islamic Development Malaysia JAKIM, as well as contribution from Employees Provident Fund EPF. The Youth and Sports Ministry expects more athletes to qualify for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics following the recent success of national gymnast Farah Ann Abdul Hadi. Deputy Minister Stephen Sim Chi Kyong is positive the athletes who are hunting for slots are now in high spirits following the success of 8 athletes who have already confirmed their participation in Tokyo. At the same time, the Deputy Minister hoped sport associations involved could make the most of the funds and resources provided to help athletes reach their true performance on a mission to Tokyo.
Saya juga mempunyai harapan, menaruh harapan kepada atlet-atlet lain yang masih belum layak tetapi dalam usaha untuk melayakkan diri. Kita memang berharap akan ada lebih ramai lagi atlet Malaysia yang akan layak ke Olimpik dan membawa jalur gemilang ke peringkat sukan yang tertinggi ini.
He was met after appearing in Selamat Pagi Malaysia program in Angkasa Puri. Other athletes who have qualified for Tokyo 2020 are Khairul Nizam Muhammad Effendi in the men's laser sailing event, Nur Shazrin Muhammad Latif sailing women's radial laser, and Khairul Anwar Muhammad archery men's recurve. While in diving, 4 athletes have qualified for Tokyo Olympics and they are Nur Dabita Sabri and Wendy Ng Yen Yi, women's 3-meter springboard, Pandalela Rinong women's 10-meter platform, and partner Leong Man Yi in the women's 10-meter platform synchronized. And that concludes this evening's news on 2. In our top story, okay. So join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Renee Fong. Thanks for watching.